Good afternoon, everybody, and let's get started here with the first point. Uh-oh, a little pause. Okay, here we go. Regular speed. Anita's going to hit that high, deep ball.
Okay, there it is. Okay.
All right, so let's break this one down a little bit. Now, usually when we get a shorter ball like this, we tend to just, rip that ball, but based on what we're working on, Anita chose a different route, which is a good idea here because you can see what this ball does. It pushes Dawn back on her heels. Or not Dawn, that is Mary back there. My apologies. And Dawn moved in smartly up to her service line to be with Anita. Okay, and here's the short ball that comes back. And instead of going back to the baseline, we can see where both Mary and Janet are back. And watch what Anita plays here. She just dinks it short. Piece of cake. Smart play. Moving forward.
That's a run in.
That's
it.
Good. All right. Keep in mind when we do the right thing, it doesn't always result in winning a point.
That's a run in.
There it is. The moment, this is probably the most effective ball, is the one that goes deep to the backhand corner. People traditionally out of that position float the ball back. Janet returned it back short. Here we have, she goes low down the center, which is a really good situation right now because, what Dawn can see and what Anita can see is this open area of the court. And if they get a ball, they pretty much know where to go with this ball. And she does get that floater. Unfortunately, what happens is Dawn misses that shot, but that's okay because you don't convert all your points. But the message is to create opportunities for yourself. And in this group Thursday, we had a lot of good opportunities. A lot of
There it is.
There it is again. Janet comes in. And this is a really good point from the perspective of missed opportunities. And this is what I mean. Okay, Janet goes deep. And you'll notice how Janet starts working her way in. Her partner, Mary, has decided to stay back on the baseline. And as a result of that, you can see where that ball bounces right around the service line. And had she come up to the service line, what we're looking at is a great opportunity to take it out of the air and take time away from your opponents and all those other good things that goes with it. The ball bounces, it gives time. And you can see how Dawn here is making a little adjustment. The ball is bounced, so she's getting herself into a better position to play her next shot. And I believe off of this shot, she plays a really good low drive into Janet. And so that's the disadvantage of letting the ball bounce. Your opponents can get in a better position to deal with whatever they have to deal with. Ball's down at her feet, and here's Anita and Dawn on the attack. And right now, Mary gets this ball, and let's see what she does with this. Ideally, if she sees things right, she would go right through here, but I don't think she went here. She decided to go to the smaller part of the court over there. Tough shot. Okay, now here we have the situation. Let's get it back here, back to the start of the point. Similar situation. This time Janet sends that ball up, sends the baseliner back, and this time Mary has learned her lesson and she started coming in, but she's still a little bit behind schedule. You can see Janet is closer to the service line than Mary is at this point. Over here, there's Janet right about at the service line. Mary's a little bit further back. what happens with the return shot is, there's time the ball does drop down and it does bounce, but Mary, by being up closer, at least she's able to put that ball back to the baseline here a lot sooner than later, and which results in a forced error with Anita missing into the net. So even there, Mary was able to take time away, did a really good job with that. Let's move forward here a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take a closer look at that point. She tries to go deep, ball goes short, Janet's on the take. What's nice about this approach shot is it's deep enough, and you can see how that forces Anita a little bit back on her heels. That's one thing to always be mindful of with your shots, is to make sure you're hitting something over to your opponents that gets them hopefully to struggle a little bit with their shot. Okay, good recognition here. This is one shot, and the reason I'm showing this point is whenever you put the ball into a difficult situation, and here Janet's dealing with one of the tougher shots in the game, that high backhand, and when you see your opponents hit it, you can see how both Anita and Dawn have reacted off of this by coming up. Because even though Janet's in a net position, she's hitting it from a weakened position, so you can actually attack behind that shot, which she does. And Anita's able to play down at her feet again. Nice pickup from Janet. Now the question is, boy, where do you go with this shot from below the net? And really the only viable shot would be this short angle over here. And let's see what she does. She goes for that angle, pops it up a little bit, but fortunately for Anita, Mary missed that volley. No worries there. And let's take this a little bit far forward. Okay, there's the ball right there. Janet just hit the ball. You can see how it's backed Janet up on her heels. Or not Janet, Dawn on her heels. Come on, Coach Glenn. And what's important here again is when your partner recognizes that. If we look at Janet's partner here, Mary is watching the action going on. I wish she would be up there, and she's decided to move up now. And even though Janet misses this, here's the thing. Just like life, if you're doing the right thing, that's okay. I mean, she chose the right shot here because let's say Janet decides to go back to the baseline on this. Well, we know it's going to result in that as a lob over your head. So when your opponents are back behind the baseline and you're up there in a net position, if you have the chance to dink it short, go ahead and do it. You're not going to make them all, but you're certainly going to make your fair share to win the majority of the points, and that's what's important and to always be mindful of. You're doing the right thing. Okay. And this is another example of that. Okay, and right here, Janet plays an amazing shot off of her feet with a redirect up the alley and pulls her wide. At this point, just a reminder as players, your partner's moving, Dawn's watching, but obviously with Anita being pulled outside the perimeter of the court, Dawn obviously would be better served to shift over. We can see how both Janet and Mary have shifted over and have tracked the ball over to where Anita is. Anita is able to come up with a good lob, and it's at this point where Dawn now has made the decision, let's go ahead and scoot into the middle a little bit, so she's in good shape, and she did the right thing. Mary's able to go over to that other section. It's just, when you're in Dawn's position here, you just can't cover, two shots, and as I always encourage people to do, cover the easier shot If your opponents beat you with the tougher shot, then all you can do out of that is just say well done to your opponents. Okay, so let's back this up just a second here. Okay, good ball into the center. And Mary did the right thing. She went deep up the center, came in. In this instance, Janet reacted a little bit late, but she's still on her way in. And she understands, boy, if Dawn's been pulled into the middle, let's go out wide and rush her. And you can see Dawn's inside the baseline, doesn't have much time to work with, and as a result of that makes an error. The point being on this is the sooner you get your racket on the ball, the better chance you have of giving your opponent less time to play their next shot. So well done. Let's watch one more point in this sequence here.
Okay, that's it. And there it is right there.
Okay, so this one, this is just, really has to do with just reacting to what's going on. Okay, and what I'm talking about here is Anita takes this ball and sends it deep up the center. And I'll tell you, anytime you have two people at the net, the best lob to hit or the best drive to hit overall go up the middle, especially the lob. It always creates a sense of confusion. And what's nice about this, the ball's been lobbed into the center, and if we watch both Anita and Dawn here, they see that Janet is dealing with a tough shot, and they're not waiting to see what she hits off of that. Notice how they're both moving in behind it, because it's really tough for Janet or any player at that point to get much leverage on their shot. So, being up into the court as they are here, look at this. I mean, this is exactly what you want to do when you put your opponents in these awkward positions where they can't generate any pace off of. And even though Janet didn't make it, let's say Janet got it over the net. And what we're looking at now is, both Anita and Dawn can be looking at going over to this side of the court. And that's what that lob did up the center. It pulled Janet off her side of the court, so anything that comes over, it's an obvious clear play into that side of the court. So that's going to complete the first installment here. I've got a second installment coming up here in just a minute. So I'll be right with you.